Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let us chant one round of Japa with Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarani Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रीमद् भगवद गीता एज इट इज की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः Hare Krishna dear devotees welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for all session. Let's recite Bhagavad Gita shloka. We are reciting from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 14, text 26. Does anyone need to go first? Yes, Aditi Lata Mataji and Arunita.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Mataji.
Mam cha yogya vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitya yaitan brahma bhuya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Arunita.
Mam cha yogi vicharina bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Translation. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Meda. Yes.
Mam cha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Translation. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends to the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Mataji.
Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatya Samatityaitan Samatityaitan Brahma Bhuya Kalpate. Translation. Brahma Bhuhyaya Kalpate. Translation. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes, Isha. Maybe in the phone because they can't hear. Okay, loud. Mamchayogavichareण bhakti-yogeन sevate sagunan samadhyayata brahma-bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Krishna Shish. Later. Okay, where's the phone? Unmute. We can't hear if you're far away.
मामचयो व्यभिचारेण सेवते सगुणान् समतीत्यहं ब्रह्म समतीत्यैतान् ब्रह्म भूयाय कल्पते. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material of Brahman.
Mamchayogavichareण Jaitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
Mamchayogavichareण sevate sagunan samadhyayatan brahma-bhuyaya kalpate. Translation. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes.
Yes, Priyanka Hare Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri. Mamchayo avyabhichareణ bhakti-yogeन sevate sagunan samtitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
So, Mataji, here you don't, although it is avyabhicharena, but then it is mamcha yaha avyabhicharena. So that yaha turns to yo, so therefore you don't have to say avyabhicharena. You have to say, because there's that apostrophe, they join together, yo vyabhicharena, like that.
Okay, Mata. Yeah.
Otherwise, your meter does not fit there. It will come out of the meter.
Okay. Fine, Mataji. Thank you.
Okay, so everyone has recited? I think so. I'll recite. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 26. Mamchayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and comes to the platform of Brahman, comes to the level of Brahman, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Okay, let's read Srimad Bhagavatam. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1. The Advent of Krishna, Introduction. And we are reading about Vasudeva pacifying Kamsa and trying to put some good sense into Kamsa so that he will not attempt to kill Devaki. So in that, Vasudev, what is the sequence of, what is the flow of speech of Vasudev? First of all, Vasudev said that you are the crest jewel of your dynasty, but this act of killing a woman, that too your younger sister, that too on her wedding, it's abominable, it's condemned in the scriptures, this is going to spoil your name. So, but if you're fearing for your body, for that you are trying to do all this, but the body is going to go anyway, right? He says the body is not going to last, it's going to go. If you don't die because of this sun, then you'll die by some other means. You'll certainly leave this body. But then if you say that, but yeah, it's going to go anyway, but let me keep it for as long as I can, because once the body is gone, then it's all over. So I can do whatever it takes to keep my body. No. Vasudev's argument is it's not like that. After you give up this body, you'll get another body. It's not that you don't get another body. So, jatasya hi dhruvam mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Certainly, everyone who has taken his birth has to die, and after death, one will get another body. That's from Bhagavad Gita, of course. So, so don't worry. Now, you'll get another body. Then, talking about this transmigration, how this transmigration takes place. So, that's the discussion. Yeah. So also we saw that Vasudeva was called Mahabhaga because he is able to pacify such a cruel person, and not without getting disturbed himself. So, see, text 38 says, O great hero, one who takes birth is sure to die, for death is born with the body. One may die today or after hundreds of years, but death is sure for every living entity. Then, when the present body turns to dust and is again reduced to 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, the proprietor of the body, the living being, automatically receives another body of material elements according to his fruitive activities. When the next body is obtained, he gives up the present body. How exactly is this happening? First, the next body is prepared, then only he gives up. So there's nothing to worry that I don't know if I'll get a body or not. No. Until and unless the next body is ready, you will not give up this body. Only when the next body is ready, then you give up this body. So you don't have to worry that you may not get another body. How is it? It's just like when you walk. First, when one foot is firmly established on the ground, then the other foot is lifted. Or when a caterpillar crawls on leaves, first, when it moves to a new leaf, after its feet are firmly fixed on the new leaf, then it will let go of the old leaf. Similarly, only when the new body is ready, then the living entity leaves the old body. Of course, this is by higher arrangements. Higher authorities are there who are arranging this, but it is based on its activities, fruitive activities. Who is the main player here? It is the mind. The mind is the main player. What is the function of the mind? Thinking, feeling, and willing. And also another nature is the mind is flickering, accepting and rejecting, accepting and rejecting. This is the mind's position. Because of the mind's activities, senses have activities. So mind is also one of the senses. Mind has its activities. What are the activities of the mind? Thinking, feeling, and willing. Now, what is the nature of these activities? If these activities are spiritual, your thinking, feeling, and willing is spiritual, then your next body will be a spiritual body. But if your thinking, feeling, and willing is material, that means it is based on material desires. It is on the material platform. Then your next body will be material body. That's the point. So mind is the player. When the luminaries in the sky, such as the moon, the sun, and the stars, are reflected in liquids like oil or water, They appear to be of different shapes. So this also we discussed. How is it that I am a spirit soul, right? Spirit soul is transcendental and the bodies are material, isn't it? The mind is material and the bodies, so many different bodies that I get are material. How is it the spirit soul um, how is the spirit soul identifying with so many bodies, and why is it getting so many bodies? It's already said it's because of the mind. Okay, because the mind has these impressions, therefore I'm getting based on the, because it is flickering, right? It is changing. The mind has so many different impressions, therefore I get so many different bodies. Depending on what is the state of my mind at the time of death, I get that body. And again, in that body, whatever is the state of the mind, I get another body, like this. But I am not the mind. I'm not the mind. Why I have to take on so many bodies if the mind is thinking like that? Mind is made of material elements. I'm a spirit soul. I'm not made of material elements. I'm transcendental. Why I'm taking on bodies based on the activities of the mind? I'm not material. This is because of association. Karanam guna sangosya. Guna means modes. The spirit soul associates with the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And because of that, when it's associating with goodness, then the mind is in goodness, so you'll get a body of goodness. When it's associating with passion, mind is in passion, then you get a body of made of passion, like that. How can you explain this with an analogy? That is said in this verse. So there are luminaries in the sky. At night we will see moon, right? And then you see the reflection of the moon in water, like a river or a pond. The moon is a nice circle, but when you see the reflection of moon on the water, and because of wind, when the water moves, the moon also moves. It sometimes becomes stretched, sometimes fat, sometimes long and thin. But actually, is the moon fat or thin or stretched or moving? No, the moon is there, perfect circle. So the spirit soul is like the moon. The original condition of the spirit soul is it's not material. It doesn't have any of these, designations that the body has. The soul has no designations. Still, the soul is thinking, I am this and I am that, depending on the body. Why? Because of the wind. Because of the wind that is moving the water. What is that wind? Association with the modes. Okay. So when the luminaries in the sky, such as the moon, the sun, and the stars, are reflected in liquids like oil or water, they appear to be of different shapes, sometimes round, sometimes long, and so on, because of the movements of the wind. Similarly, when the living entity, the soul, is absorbed in materialistic thoughts, again, the mind is the player, right? When the living entity is absorbed in materialistic thoughts, he accepts various manifestations of his own identity because of ignorance, right? He thinks, because of materialistic thoughts, he'll think sometimes I'm a human being, or sometimes I'm belonging to a particular country, particular religion, and so on. This is my friend and this is my enemy. This is my people, my family, my community. All this is out of ignorance. In other words, one is bewildered by mental concoctions because of agitation from the material modes of nature. So it's Karanam Guna Sangosya means because of association. The cause for this is association with the modes of nature. So yesterday we read the verse and the purport, but we didn't discuss it. So that we have to do today. I'll quickly discuss it and then Rasapriya will read the next verse. This verse gives a very good example by which to understand the different positions of the eternal spiritual soul in the material world. Yes, so different positions of the soul in the material world, different bodies, right? Different designations. The soul has no material designations, but still in this, when it is in the material world, it has different designations, different bodies. How the soul takes on these different bodies? How is it getting these different bodies? So the example is the moon is stationary and is one, but when it is reflected in water or oil, it appears to take different shapes because of the movements of the wind. Similarly, the soul is the eternal servant of Krishna. What is the position of the soul? It is a servant of Krishna. It's like the moon in the sky. The nature of the soul is it's a servant of Krishna eternally. But when put into the material modes of nature, right, goodness, passion, ignorance, it takes different bodies, sometimes as a demigod, sometimes a man, a dog, a tree, and so on. By the influence of Maya, the illusory potency of the Supreme Lord, Maya is not separate from the Lord, it is also the Lord's energy. By the influence of this Maya, the living entity thinks that I am this body, right? The designation. He identifies with the material body. I'm Indian, I'm American, I'm cat, I'm dog. This is Maya. When one is freed from this bewilderment and understands that the soul does not belong to any shape of this material world, then he is on the spiritual platform. So, if the mind is free from material designations, then the mind's activities will be spiritual. That's Brahma Bhuta platform. So then again, the next paragraph is talking about what is, okay, you have no material designations. You come out of material designations. Does that mean spiritual realization means it is all void? It is all just, light. There's no variety. Is that the understanding? This realization, sometimes explained as nirakar or formless, formlessness does not mean that the soul has no form. Yes, you come out of all material designations, material forms, that's good. I'm not this body. I'm not any of these things. Then who am I? You negate everything else and then you say, yes, I'm nothing. Or I'm just some inexplicable plain light, no variety. No, that's not the understanding. The soul has form, but the external agitating form he has acquired because of material contamination is false. False means it is not his true identity, it is temporary. Similarly, just like the soul is sometimes explained as Nirakar, the Lord is also sometimes explained as Nirakar. That means he has no material form. Same thing. He doesn't have a material form. He has no material form means does not mean he has no form at all. Like the other day in ISKCON Philly Bhagavatam class we were discussing in the second canto, uh, ninth chapter, second canto, ninth chapter, texts 9 and 10. Okay, 2, 9, 9 and 10. They're very nicely, the commentary is given. So this is a description of Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. You can take it either as Vaikuntha or Goloka. Both are explained. But the point is, it is specifically said in the spiritual world, there is no tamas, no ignorance, there is no rajas, no passion, no goodness, no kala, no maya. Like this it is said. Specifically, this is not there, this is not there, this is not there, this is not there, this is not there. That means what? These things are not there, but something else is there. Makes sense? Right? It doesn't mean that nothing is, because it doesn't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means it has nothing. Can you conclude like that? Then what is the need of saying this is not there and this is not there and this is not there? You go to a shop and if you say, I want a yellow sari. So the shopkeeper says, oh, or I'm looking for a yellow sari. The shopkeeper says, no, I don't have yellow sari. That means he has no saris and no clothes or what? He doesn't have a yellow sari means he may have a blue sari, green sari, but not yellow sari that you're looking for, or a yellow kurta. He doesn't have a yellow kurta. He has green or brown or grey, but he doesn't have yellow that you're looking for. You understand? Specifically, if they say one particular thing, this thing is not there means something else is there. That thing is not there, but something else is there. Like that, there in that verse it is said in the Vaikuntha, there is no ignorance, no passion, no goodness. The ignorance, passion, and goodness means the material modes. They are not there in the spiritual world. Of course, there's an elaborate discussion there about, what do you mean by no goodness? What do you mean by no passion? Just one thing I'll explain, not everything. That's a class in itself. But if you say there is no passion, means what? What is the function of passion? Creation, right? Function. Lord Brahma is the deity in the mode of passion because his function is to create. So the function of passion is creation. When you say there is no passion in the spiritual world means there is no creation in the spiritual world. If there is no creation in the spiritual world, should you conclude there is nothing in the spiritual world, it is all void, there's empty? What should you conclude? If you say there is no creation in the spiritual world, because you are saying no passion, that means no creation, what should you conclude about the spiritual world? Nothing is created there. Means what? Means nothing is there?
That means it is there.
That means whatever there is not created, is eternally existing. It doesn't mean there isn't anything. It means whatever there is not created. It's not created, it is existing eternally. Similarly, when you say there is no ignorance, function of ignorance, Lord Shiva, right, in the mode of ignorance. Why? Because his function is annihilation. So Lord Shiva's function is annihilation. So when you say there is no mode of ignorance, means there is no destruction. That means the spiritual world will never end, it will never stop. And anything that you see in the spiritual world has no end. It is going to go on forever, eternally. So this is when you say there is no passion, no ignorance. But that doesn't mean if you say there's no passion and no ignorance means there's no creation, no annihilation, it is all void, it's empty. That's not the conclusion. Passion and ignorance means there is creation, there is destruction, and also how creation and destruction take place by the influence of time. It's because of time that the modes get agitated and then things start rolling. Creation happens, maintenance happens, destruction by the influence of time. So it is said there is no time there. Time also, when does time come into play? Time comes into play after the Lord glances on Prakriti. With the glance only, time is also coming into play. That means when he desires creation. When the Lord desires creation, he glances on Prakriti, and with his glance, time comes into that Shakti of the Lord. Time also comes into picture. That means when there is no creation, there is no time also. So in the spiritual world, there's no, because of time, the modes are agitated. Until then, the modes are in equilibrium. So when you say there is no modes means there is no time also. And when you say there is no time means, when you say there is no time means there is no Maya also. And this is also a nice point. When you why it has to be said that there is no Maya in the spiritual world? Okay, let me see if you can catch the point. What is the what can you derive when it is said there is no Maya in the spiritual world? What do you derive from this? I didn't say this in the class the other day. So let's see if you can guess. When it is said there is no Maya in the spiritual world, what can you derive from that? Madhava. There are no atheists, okay? Huh? The world is full of devotees, okay? There's no Maya. That means, yeah, there's only devotees there, okay? Anyone else would like to try? If not, I'll just move forward. Yes, Usha Mataji.
That means there is only spiritual truth left. There is only transcendental that is left.
Okay, okay. But why Maya? Why Maya has to be mentioned there? It has to do something with Maya. When they say there is no Maya there, means
Means whatever is there is not affected by material modes of nature. They're like beyond all this, whatever is there.
okay.
Also, when there is Krishna, there is no space for Maya. When there is like the Supreme Lord, there is no space for Maya.
Correct. All your points are correct. But the point that Srila, I think it's Srila Jiva Goswami brings out is, when you say, it's like the example he gives is like this. Maya is what? Maya means to accept something to be something else, or something which is not there, you think it is there. For example, there is a rope, and seeing the rope, you mistake it to be a snake. That is Maya. Now, because you see a rope and you think it is a snake, is that rope false? Or is the snake false? It's not there in front of you. The snake is not there in front of you. But just the fact that you are thinking it to be a snake means there is something called a snake. Otherwise, where did you even get that thought of a snake? Yes, it's true that that rope is not a snake. That rope is not a snake. But the fact that you're thinking it to be a snake means there is something called a snake. It's not here, but it is somewhere else. So similarly, when you say Maya, in the spiritual world there is no Maya, that means, yes, there is no Maya here, but the fact that they are saying there is no Maya here means Maya is there somewhere else. Material world, there is Maya. In the spiritual world, there is no Maya, but in the material world, there is Maya. I'll explain a little bit more why it has to be explained like this. Because Advaitins means the followers of Shankaracharya. Their philosophy is Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahma is true and this whole Jagat is false. Okay? That means this world actually doesn't exist. You're just imagining that it is there. For example, this Kartal, there's nothing called Kartal. It's just my imagination. I'm thinking that this is Kartal. Like that, everything about it, because all variety, it's just an imagination. It is false, like a dream, right? At night when you dream, none of it is actually existing. It's just your imagination. It's in your mind, isn't it? Like that, they say this whole creation is like a dream. Nothing, it doesn't have any reality. It is completely false. It's imagination. It's like a dream. Okay. So then this whole material world is what? Material energy. That means there's nothing called material energy. Isn't it? Because it doesn't exist. It's just your imagination. Their philosophy is ultimately there's only one thing, Brahman. That's real. Everything else is false. And then when you say Brahman, like we understand, Bhagavan means he has internal energy, marginal energy, external energy, right? External energy means Maya, marginal energy means us, the living entities. Internal energy is the Lord's Swarup Shakti. So much variety is there. But when they say Brahman, Brahman means Nirvishesh, Nirakar, no Visheshanas, no attributes, no energies. It's all just one homogeneous one. Even us also, we are actually all just one. Now we are separated because of Maya, and this Maya is what? It's just illusion. Does it make any sense? Anyway, but that's the philosophy. So this Maya is illusion, and because of this illusion, Brahman appears to be so many, and there appears to be so much variety, appears, but actually there isn't anything. Reality, it is all one. So as soon as Brahman comes out of this Maya, then once again he's situated in his original constitutional state, that everything is just one. You don't see anything else, no variety. Okay. So they say Maya is not existing actually. In reality, there's no Maya. But here when you say, Bhagavatam says, there is no Maya in the spiritual world, means there is Maya in the material world. That means Maya is real. Maya is also the energy of the Lord. She is real. Maya is also real. Maya is not an imagination. She is also the Lord Shakti. Like there is internal Shakti, there is marginal Shakti, Antaranga Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti. Bahiranga Shakti is also his Shakti, that is also real. That's the point. Anyway, why did we go there? Let me go back. Yes. Yes. So God is also described as Nirakar, which means that God has no material form. To explain that, just like I said, in Vaikuntha there is nothing, no material modes, no material forms. Huh? So just like Vaikuntha, the Lord also, everything is Swarupa Shakti. The Lord's form is also Swarup, internal energy. Vaikuntha, the Dham is also internal energy. So just like in the Vaikuntha there's no material form, the Lord also has no material form. That does not mean no form. That means no material form, but there is abundance of spiritual forms. So when you say Nirakar, what should you understand? Nirakar does not mean no Akar. Nirakar means no material Akar, made of goodness, passion, ignorance. That's not there. Okay. God is also described as Nirakar, which means that God has no material form but is Satchidananda Vigraha. Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, fully conscious, and Ananda, full of bliss. That's the constitution of the spiritual body. The living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Satchidananda Vigraha. So naturally, he is also like him, Satchidananda. But his material forms are temporary or illusory. Both the living entity and the Supreme Lord have original spiritual forms. But still there's a difference between the Lord and the living entity. Both have Satchidananda forms, but the Lord is the master and the living entity is tiny, like fire and a spark. Right? Can you put out a big fire like a forest fire? How difficult it is. One spark, do you need to put it out? One small spark, it falls out of the fire, it is extinguished immediately. So living entity is like a spark. The Lord is like a big fire, like a big forest fire. That's the relation, that's the difference between the Lord and the living entity. But both are fire, both are Satchidananda. Both the living entity and Supreme Lord have original spiritual forms, but the Lord does not change his form. The Lord appears as he is. So when the Lord comes, he also comes to this material world. The living entity is coming, we already saw, right? Coming means the living entity is here in the material world. So there are two types of living entity, Baddha and Nitya Mukta. So Baddha Jivas are in the material world. So the living entities in the material world, they keep changing their forms. Why they keep changing their forms? That we saw in the previous verses. Because of the impressions on the mind. Why they have different impressions on the mind? Because of association with the modes of material nature. And based on the impressions and based on the mental activities, mental state, they get different forms. They have to keep changing their bodies. The Lord also comes to the material world, but he does not have to change his bodies because his form is eternal, transcendental body. That doesn't have to change forms. But we are changing bodies means our bodies are material. His body is not material. The Lord appears as he is, whereas the living entity appears because material nature forces him to accept different forms. When the living entity receives these different forms, he identifies with them. Now again, he'll get the body and then he'll think, I'm this body. Why he's thinking I'm this body? He's identifying with that body because of Association, we said that, right? The moon is, is fat or long or thin. Why we think the moon is fat? Because you're looking at the reflection, you're not looking at the moon in the sky. And the reflection is changing shapes because of the water, wind. It's changing shapes. And if you simply look at the reflection and if you don't see the real moon, you'll think, oh, the moon is fat, the moon is thin. So similarly, because of association with the modes, the living entity appears to be American, Indian, fat, thin, intelligent, so on and so forth. So because of this contamination by the modes, he identifies himself with the body, forgetting his original spiritual form. As soon as he returns to his original spiritual form, and understanding, he immediately surrenders to the supreme form. So he understands, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, and the spirit soul is a part and parcel of the supreme spirit soul. So let me surrender to the supreme, right? As soon as the living entity returns to his original spiritual form and understanding. So when he comes to that original understanding, then he will surrender to the Lord. That's what is said. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Naso. So you come to Brahma Bhuta stage, then what you will do? Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. Then you surrender to the Lord, you begin bhakti. In other words, bhakti begins after you come to Brahma Bhuta stage. Isn't it? This is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam Janmanam Ante Mam Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. So that understanding, Jnanavan, understanding that I am a part and parcel of the Supreme, my duty is to surrender to the Supreme, to serve the Supreme, that comes after many, 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 many births for a Jnani who's trying to research and understand. When the living entity, after many, many births in different forms, returns to his original form of Krishna consciousness. Of course, not simply by research he can come to that conclusion when he gets the association of a devotee. So he's fortunate enough. Then after this Jnani, after many, many lifetimes, when he's fortunate to get the association of a devotee, then he will understand the position of God, and then he surrenders and he begins bhakti. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatman Nashochati Nakangshati Samas Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. And then when he realizes like this, what is his condition? When he comes to the understanding that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, and he realizes not just I'm a spirit soul, but he realizes the Supreme Brahman. He becomes joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. Then he will be equal to everyone, because now he is not identifying people by their bodily designations. Oh, this is a rich person, so I'll make friends with him. Oh, those people are poor people, I don't have anything to do with them. Right? This is a very famous person. Let me take a picture with this person. Let me be around this person. One who is a Brahma Bhuta, he doesn't care for your external designations. He sees the same spirit soul in every body. Wow, what to speak of different designation, human beings, animals, insects, worms, everyone. As long as one is under an impersonal understanding of the absolute truth, he is not in pure knowledge. But is that all? Thinking that absolute truth is Brahman, is that the final understanding of the absolute truth? No, it is not complete. Your knowledge is not pure. It is not false. To understand the absolute as Brahman is not false, but it is partial understanding of the Supreme. Therefore, it is not complete knowledge or pure knowledge. So therefore, he will still have to struggle to get pure knowledge. By that path of jnana, if you go, kleshodikataras tesham, klesha, it is filled with difficulties. To realize the absolute by the Jnana Marga, it's filled with difficulties. Krishna is saying, if one is attached to the impersonal feature, then his path is like filled with thorns, basically. Progress is very, very difficult, and there's always the risk of falling down. But for a devotee, it's very simple, easy. A devotee easily attains his original position as a servant of Krishna, and he'll understand the Supreme Lord in his original form. You know why? Because one important thing is the Jnanis, they think they are the doers. By my strength, I'm going to become perfect. I am going to control my mind. I am so austere. There's no dependence on the Lord. There's no calling out and praying to the Lord. Oh Lord, I'm helpless. I'm not able to, handle all these difficulties. I'm I surrender at your lotus feet. You carry me forward. There is no such relationship with Brahman. Don't think that Gyanis are thinking, let me surrender to Brahman. They are thinking, I am that Brahman. Where is surrender there? I am that Brahman. Right now I am covered over. I have to remove this covering. So they work hard to remove that covering. That pride is still there, no? But in bhakti it is not. So then when you think that I can do everything, why Krishna has to come and help you? Just like if you are an adult and there's a child, and if the child is like, I'll do everything, I don't need anyone's help, I can handle everything myself, then the adult will just stand there and watch. Okay, to do. Only when the child says, no, I'm not able to do, please help me, okay, I'll come and help you. Whereas another little child, small child, is not able, he's like completely depending on the parent. Then the parent will carry that person forward. So devotee's advantage, why the path of devotion is very easy, is because at every step, because they're completely dependent on Krishna, literally Krishna is holding their hand and walking them. When there are hurdles, just like you have threshold for the house, entrance, Gadapa, in Telugu you say, right? You have to cross that. In villages you will see, traditional houses you will see, they have this elevated thing, high, they keep it high. Huh? And you have to cross that over to go outside or to come inside. Small toddlers, like Madhavi, she won't be able to cross it and go on her own. Then the mother, what she will do, because she's holding the hand of the mother, she's walking. When she has to, as she's walking, as soon as she comes to the threshold, the mother will lift her up and make a jump and cross, and then the girl will easily walk. But if there is no mother, if it is just the child, it's a struggle. You can even fall down and break your head, and so many things can happen. So this is the difference between Gyanis and Bhaktas. Gyanis, they are on their own. They don't even accept Bhagwan. Why they will call him? They say the Lord's body is Maya. He is Brahman, I am Brahman. Yes, he is here, the different, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, Lord Rama. They'll say they are Brahman covered by Vidya. Vidya Vachinna Chaitanyam. Whereas I am also Brahman covered by Avidya. Vidya is in goodness, Avidya is in passion and ignorance. That's the difference. Yes, I'm lower because I'm in passion and ignorance, I'm lower. And that is Brahman covered by goodness. Goodness is better. Nevertheless, both are covered by material energy only. And eventually, when the coverings are removed, we are all just one Brahman. So why surrender will come? Never. Surrender won't come. Actually, it's even worse. They even worship the deity. But their understanding is by worshipping the deity, one day I become him. It's like cunningness. I will serve you now so that one day I will take your post. Like that. This is not devotion. Although it appears like, oh, they are also worshipping them. Their consciousness is not like a devotee at all. Mayavadis. I'm talking about Mayavadis or Advaitins, not the Brahmavadis. Brahmavadis understand that the Lord's body is transcendental and Brahman is transcendental, but my attraction is to Brahman. They don't say that the Lord's body is material, he is made with Vidya and all that. No. They simply say the Lord's body is also transcendental, but I have attraction for Brahman. That's all. So there is no offense there. And when there is no offense, no problem. They can go merge into Brahman. But Mayavadis will not merge into Brahman. They won't. Why? Because they are committing offense to the Lord. One who is offensive, he cannot get any, he won't have any destination. He'll go to hell. He'll go to hell. So, Mayavad philosophers. So the Kleshodikataras Tesham is very, very difficult. That path is difficult. Why it is difficult? Because you're on your own. You're on your own. It's like you have to swim and cross the ocean on your own. However best swimmer you may be, can you cross the ocean by swimming? With no help. Whereas the devotees, they also have to cross the ocean, but they have a nice boat, the lotus feet of Krishna. They sit inside that boat and the boat takes them across the ocean. No problem. And not only does it take them across the ocean, there are big, big, big timingalas, but they have no fear. They cannot even touch the boat. Very nicely they can cross. That is why bhakti path is very easy. Jnana, whose opinion is this? Krishna. Krishna is telling Arjun, Kleshodikataras tesham avyakta sakta chetasam. Okay. So bhakti, so Srila Prabhupada in the purport is saying, that which is very difficult, right, to realize that, to come to that Brahma Bhuta stage, it's not easy. It's a very difficult stage. But for devotees, it's very easy. This is the difference between the Supreme Lord and the living. No, I think it's the previous one. Yeah. Kleshodikatarastesham. Although one may be spiritually advanced, if one is attached to impersonal feature of the absolute truth, one must still work very hard, as indicated by the words Kleshodikataraha, which means greater suffering. A devotee, however, easily attains his original position as a spiritual form and understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original form. Krishna himself explains the forms of the living entities in the second chapter. Yes. So, Natvevaham jatu nasam, right? That means never were we not present. Who? Arjun, you, myself, Krishna, and everyone else who is present that you are seeing here on this battlefield. For whom you are worried? Your grandfather, your teacher, your brothers, everyone was there in the past. They're there now, they'll be there in the future. So here also again, Srila Prabhupada brings the Mayavad point. The Mayavadis say, Krishna is talking about the material situation. Before you were individual means, before Arjun, you had some other material body as an individual. Future means after Arjun, you'll get another material body. Until and unless you're liberated, liberated means you go and merge into Brahman, you will remain individual. So when Krishna says past, present and future, he is talking of material bodies. What is the flaw in this Mayavad philosophy? Can you catch? Krishna said, Arjun, you, myself, Krishna, and all these kings. He mentioned three here. You, me, and all these kings here. Everyone was individual in the past. They're all there in the past means they're all individuals in the past. They're all there now means they're all individuals now. They will continue to be individuals in future, Krishna said. So Mayavadi says Krishna is talking about the conditioned state in the past, present, and future. In the conditioned state, yeah, it's admitted everyone is individual. But after liberation, there's no individuality. Everyone is one, homogeneous one, Brahman. Aditi Latamati.
Yes, Mataji. So, in this, like we discussed many times, it shows that Krishna is also under this Maya. So, if Krishna is controlled by Maya, and that means Krishna is not supreme. Maya is supreme because he is controlled by Maya. And then what is,
How are
like
you saying
Prabhupada
that
says, what?
How are you saying that
Huh?
Krishna is controlled by Maya? Yeah. Can you explain how you're saying that they are saying that Krishna is controlled by Maya? Can you explain?
Yes, because Krishna is getting a material body. It's saying, because
Correct.
on material body we get because of modes of material nature, and that is Maya. So if Krishna is getting body as per modes, that means material modes are superior, that means Maya is superior than Krishna. And if we think Maya is superior than Krishna, there is no point of reading what Krishna is saying, because he is also controlled by Maya. So there is no point of Bhagavad Gita as per Prabhupada.
Thank you. Nice. You covered all the
Yeah,
points.
yeah,
But
thank you.
yeah, here specifically the point that you have to catch is Mayavadi is saying Krishna is talking about the phenomenal world, right? Like this material world is talking about that. But then Krishna is saying I. He said you, Arjun, and all these kings. Okay, they all have material bodies. They all have material bodies. So past also you had material bodies. Now you have material bodies. Future also material bodies. Krishna is saying we can understand. But Krishna is saying I. What is Krishna's past and what is Krishna's future? He had some other material body in the past, and in future he's going to have some other material body. No, Krishna has. That's what we read just now. The difference we are reading, the difference between the individual soul and the Supreme Lord is the individual soul means jiva, conditioned individual soul. He's changing bodies, but the Supreme Lord is not changing bodies. So when he's talking about his individuality in past, present, and future, and he's comparing it with others also, like he's putting all of them together. All of us were individual in the past. We are individual now. We will be individual in the future. That future is when? After liberation also. That's what is we should understand. That means there is no homogeneous one after liberation. It refutes the Mayavad philosophy. So that verse again, the second paragraph also, in this, the next paragraph of this purport also, is refuting the Mayavad philosophy. Krishna is talking about individuality, right? There were individuals in the past, now in the present, and in future, right? Yes. So here the difference is we have different material bodies.
Can I explain once more, Mataji? Once more?
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, can you explain once
I
more?
explain. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Krishna said, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to exist. So here Krishna is talking about himself, Arjun, and all the people there. And he's talking about past, present. Present he didn't mention, but it's understood. They're all there as individuals there. He's there, Arjun is there, all there. That's why Arjun is crying, because they're all individuals. My grandfather will go. That means they're all individuals. Present is, you don't have to say, they're individuals already, present. But we were individuals in the past and we will be individuals in the future. The important point is about the future. So Mayavadi will say, oh, the future that Krishna is talking about is about the material body, conditioned state. Because what is Advaita philosophy? After liberation, there's only Brahman. Only Brahman is true. There's no variety in Brahman. Everyone, now Brahman is separated into so many or appears like so many because of Maya. When Maya is lifted, then it's just one Brahman. So there's no variety. But Krishna is saying in future also we are individuals. If devotees say, but Krishna is saying future are individuals, Mayavadi will say that future is in the material world, material platform. That means after this body, you'll get another material body, like that. So now, how to refute the Mayavadi's point is, but Krishna is talking about his own past, present, and future also. So if he's talking about future body, Krishna has no material body. That's the point of this purport. The difference between individual soul and Krishna is material conditioned soul. They change bodies all the time. Krishna does not change his body. Why? They have material bodies. That's why they are changing. But Krishna's body is spiritual, transcendental. He does not change his body. And Krishna is clubbing himself with everyone else. And he's talking about, it's like when you say our means you, me, all of us, like that. Huh? He didn't say my future, anyone's future. But when he says there is individuality in future, if Krishna says he is individual in future, even if he says only he is individual in future, still that breaks their philosophy. Because their philosophy is there is no individuality. But Krishna is saying my future, your future, everyone else's future is all are individuals even in future. We will continue to exist in future also. This means it cannot be on the material platform because Krishna has no material body. When he's talking about his future, it cannot be material. But then they will say, no, but Krishna's body is also material. He's not God. He's just Brahman, like you are Brahman, I am Brahman. His body is made of Vidya, our body is made of Avidya. But after all, both Vidya and Avidya are functions of Maya. So his body is also Maya, like your body, my body is Maya. So when Krishna is talking about future, he's actually his body is future. When you say his is also material, this can be the next argument. Then what will we say? If, like Mataji said, okay, if Krishna's body is also Maya, my body is also Maya, how he became a teacher and I am a student, and how his Bhagavad Gita becomes authoritative, that will take me out of this material Maya. If you are tied yourself, how you can release another tied person? Understand? Or if someone is drowning, to lift the drowning person, someone who is outside should come and give him a hand. One drowning person cannot help another drowning person. If you're saying Krishna's body is also Maya, my body is also Maya, but he's speaking Bhagavad Gita, hearing his Bhagavad Gita, I'll come out of Maya. How it will work? He has to be out of Maya. That's when I can take lessons from him and come out of this Maya. So, and he who is out of Maya is saying that he is individual in future. That means he's not talking about material future. He's not talking of material future. He's talking about eternal. And then along with him, he's taking all of us and saying, you, him, everyone is going to be individual in future with him. Means what? That means in this there is a spiritual world. After liberation, you are all individuals. Is that clear, Mataji? Aditi Lata Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So yesterday's purport only we are discussing, but it's okay. Important. The only difference is that the conditioned living entity appears in various material forms, whereas Krishna appears in his original spiritual form. Unfortunately, those who are not advanced in spiritual knowledge think that Krishna is like one of them and his form is like their material forms. Then what does Krishna say about them? Mudha, right? Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashtam. Krishna is never puffed up by material knowledge and is therefore called Achyuta. He will never fall, right? Whereas the living entities Achyuta, they fall. They are agitated by material nature. That's the difference. Another difference between the Supreme Lord and living entities. Krishna never falls, the living entities fall, right? We fall. In this connection, it is noted that Vasudeva, who was situated in a transit. So now, what's going on in the past time? Vasudeva is instructing Kamsa. Vasudeva is in transcendental position. Kamsa is material position, because Vasudeva is eternal associate of the Lord. Krishna is going to appear from him. Is he going to be a material person? No. So Vasudeva in the transcendental position, he is like Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, like that. Of course, Arjuna is also eternal associate, but he's playing the role of a conditioned soul at that time. So here Vasudeva is instructing Kamsa not to commit further sinful activities. What are the sinful activities? To protect his body, he wanted to kill Devaki. So Kamsa is saying this body won't last anyway, it's going to go away. And you want body, you'll get another body, don't worry. But just to preserve this body which is going to go anyway, you're going to destroy your name, fame as a great king. And also, you're going to commit sinful activities. The future of sinful activities is very, very bad, right? You'll have to suffer. Kamsa, representative of the demons, was always ready to kill Krishna. Again, Vishnu Bhakta Bhaved Daiva, Asuras Tad Viparyaya. Daiva means they are devotees of Krishna. Asuras means they are against Krishna. Kamsa is Asura. So he was ready to kill Krishna, like Hiranyakashipu, right? He wanted to kill Lord Vishnu, like that. Kamsa is ready to kill Krishna or God. Whereas Vasudeva, Daiva, right? He represents a transcendentally situated person to whom Krishna is born. Vasudeva is the son of Vasudeva. Vasudeva wanted his brother-in-law Kamsa to refrain from the sinful act of killing his sister, since the result of being agitated by material nature would be that Kamsa would have to accept a body in which to suffer again and again. So, the Lord is not agitated. The difference between the Lord and the conditioned soul is the Lord is not agitated by Maya. He is Achyuta. But the conditioned souls are Achyuta. Like the Lord, his pure devotees also become Achyuta. By the Lord's mercy, right? They also don't fall, like Vasudeva. And he is telling Kamsa, don't fall, don't become agitated by Maya. Because the result of this activity, being agitated by Maya, you'll commit sinful activities. The result will be you'll get a body in which you'll have to suffer so much in future. Okay. Then Srila Prabhupada is quoting Rishabdev from 5th canto, 5th chapter. Nasadu manye yata atmanoyam asannapi kleshada asha deha. As long as the living entity is entangled in fruitive activities. Fruitive activities means what? You do some activity in expectation of a material result. That is fruitive activity. Karma. As long as the living entity is entangled in the fruitive activities of so-called happiness and distress, he will receive a particular type of body in which to endure the three kinds of suffering due to material nature. Three tapa yantrana, adhyatmic, adibhautik, adidaivik miseries. Right? Three kinds of suffering. You'll get a body, material body. Material body means these three material miseries will be there. Why you get a material body? As long as you are engaged in karma. And then you have karma phala, right? Prarabdha karma, aprarabdha karma, and in between kutam, bijam, phalonmukam. As long as you have this, you have to take bodies. An intelligent person therefore must free himself from the influence of the three modes of material nature and revive his original spiritual body. How? How? This is the beginning of discussion. You remember how? The mind is the player. The mind engaged in material activities means you'll get material bodies. Material bodies means suffering again. But if you engage your mind in spiritual activities, then you'll get a spiritual body after this body. That means no more suffering. How to engage your mind in spiritual activities? Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. Engage your senses, chanting, hearing, so on and so forth. Engage your senses in the service of the master of the senses, then the mind is also absorbed. And if the mind is absorbed in the Supreme Lord, that is transcendental platform, then at the time of death, yam yam vap or antaka, okay, yam yam vap is swaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram. At the time of death, whatever you're thinking, whatever is on your mind, that's the type of body you get. And if your mind is absorbed in Krishna, then your next body will be with Krishna. So don't engage in sinful activities, being agitated by Maya, because then you'll get a material body. That means so much suffering again. Rather, engage in devotional service activities. Devotional service, by this your mind will also be absorbed in Krishna. Then after death, you don't have to take another material body. Who's saying this? Vasudeva is telling Kamsa. Killing your sister is a sinful activity. For the sake of this body, to protect this body, you are ready to commit so many sinful activities. This body is going to go anyway, and you'll get another body, miserable body in which you'll have to suffer. Don't do this. So an intelligent person therefore must free himself from the influence of the three modes of material nature and revive his original spiritual body by engaging in the service of the Supreme Person Krishna. As long as one is materially attached, one must accept the process of birth, death, old age and disease. Materially attached means another material body, and body means birth, death, old age, disease. One is therefore advised that an intelligent person, instead of being entangled in so-called good and bad fruitive activities, punya karma, papa karma, don't be so much interested or about punya and papa. I will do pious activities, I will give charity, I will do this vrata, that puja, because this will give me so many pious credits. Don't be involved or interested in those things. An intelligent person, instead of being entangled in so-called punya and papa, should engage his life in advancing in Krishna consciousness. Then what should I do? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam. Like that. At least Shravanam, Kirtanam. Instead of punya papa karmas, worrying about punya and papa, don't become entangled, it is said. Of course, you shouldn't do papa karma. Certainly, you should not do. It's like for you to go to college, you should finish school, isn't it? You should do schooling. At least you have to take your exam, SAT exam or something. Even if you're not doing your full schooling, there is some exam that you have to take to show that you have completed school. Then only you can go to college. So practicing devotional service is like going to college. You cannot just say, I will commit sinful activities, I will continue committing sinful activities, and also I will be a devotee because I don't have to worry about punya and papa. We cannot cheat. We cannot cheat Krishna. That is why for bhakti, the first qualification, right? You have job qualifications, right? Prerequisites. The first prerequisite to enter into bhakti is what? Surrender, Shraddha. That means now only Krishna, nobody else. Only bhakti, nothing else. That's the qualification for bhakti. So when one does like this, and then, you have to give up all other faiths, faith in punya, faith in this and that. Then why you will do papa? Because Krishna is only saying, no, scriptures are saying that papa karma should not be done. Dharma Shastras say you should not engage in sinful activities. Like here, Vasudeva is telling Kamsa, don't engage in sinful activities. So if you are saying, oh, I don't have to worry about punya and papa, so I will chant Hare Krishna and I will do some sinful activities, no problem. I will cheat here and there, and I will, any other sinful activities, no problem. I will lie, I will tell lies, I will cheat, and I'll break the regulative principles. A little bit onion, garlic, what is the problem? It's okay. Sometimes tea and coffee, no problem. What's the problem? You cannot cheat Krishna. So sinful activities certainly we should not do. Sinful activities should not be done. And don't worry about getting more punya. Oh, if I do this, I'll get punya. By this punya, I'll go to Swarga. Or by this punya, I'll get this material result, that material result. It will be auspicious for me. Don't worry about those things. Only our line should be do whatever is pleasing to Anukulyasya Sankalpa Pratikulyasya Varjana. Whatever is favorable to Krishna consciousness, I will do. Whatever is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness, I will drop it. That's a good policy. Certainly, Papa won't be favorable to Krishna consciousness. So that is out of question. You don't have to give any, excuses or justifications how Papa is also favorable to Krishna. No, Papa is not favorable to Krishna consciousness. Then what is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness, you give up. Whether it is Punya, Papa, whatever, if it is unfavorable, give up. I'll just finish the last line of purport, Mataji, and then I'll take your discussion. One is therefore advised that an intelligent person, instead of being entangled in so-called good and bad fruitive activities, should engage his life in advancing in Krishna consciousness, so that instead of accepting another material body, Yaktva Deham Punarjanmanaiti, he will return home back to Godhead. But if we are concerned about Punya Papa, we may have to take birth again. We will have to take birth again. Yes, Aditi Lata Mataji. So just a note, tomorrow we will start with next verse. We completed the discussion of the purport today, and Rasapriya will read tomorrow. Yes, Mataji, Aditi Lata Mataji.
Mataji, just one doubt. After this, like Shishupal's case, that Shishupal got merged. So there was a reason which was given by Narad Muni, why he, I mean, Krishna is neutral, all those things I know, but because my question was because he also did offense directly to Krishna by blaspheming him, then why did he merge?
That's because Krishna is all good. Anyone who gets killed by Krishna, they get Sayujya Mukti. All the demons who are personally killed by Krishna, they get Sayujya Mukti.
It's because he was Jai Vijay, that's why he got that benefit. Otherwise, a blasphemer...
No. Anyone who is directly killed by the Lord, they will get mukti, they will get liberation. If it is Jai Vijay, then he should just go back to Vaikuntha. Why he has to merge in
No,
Krishna?
because three birth, no, that's why I'm saying. No, the point which I'm saying is Krishna doesn't need to kill these demons. There are other, I mean, he can get someone else to kill them. But he killed them because they are special and he is doing some pastime. Otherwise, there are so many atheistic people who are blaspheming Krishna. I mean, they are not all killed by Krishna.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. That's there. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, got it. Thank you, Mataji.
Sure. Okay. So tomorrow we will do the next verse. Let me read Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 25. So yesterday we did Achedyoyam Adahyoyam. The soul cannot be cut, cannot be burned, cannot be dried, like that. Next verse, please repeat. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmad evam viditvainam nanushocitum arhasi. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Same points are repeated, what was said before. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha. Right, 23. Then 24, achedyoyam adahyoyam. That same thing, it cannot be cut. Now 25, avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate. Okay, so it's immutable. That means it's being repeated, same points are being repeated. Repetition is not a fault of Shastra. When something is being repeated again and again in the Shastra, don't think, it's a fault. They don't have, Shastra doesn't have enough matter to say. Therefore, they're saying, Shastra is saying the same thing again and again. It's not like that. Or, like somebody, who forgets that he said and is saying the same thing again because, no, it's not the fault of Shastra. Repeating is not a fault. It is the beauty of Shastra. When something is repeated, if something is very important, even in our day-to-day dealings, you will see whether your boss or manager, if something is very important, they will repeat it again and again so that it goes into your head. You don't take it cheaply or lightly. That's why it is repeated. And to drive the point through, an important point, you want to make sure that you get the point, it's repeated, and also to emphasize, Harer Nama, Namaiva Kevalam. In Kali Yuga, the only way for deliverance is the names, holy names of Hari, the holy name of Hari, the holy name of Hari. This is the only way in Kali Yuga. Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva. There is no other way, no other way, no other way. Why? Three times? To be emphatic.
To emphasize.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, purport. So again, here also we see the same points being repeated 3 times. Purport. As described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small. How much? 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. Nobody can measure it, so it's out of question to measure it. It's so small that no one can measure it. The magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he is invisible. Here it is said the soul is avyakta, invisible. Why? Because it is so small. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can establish his existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. You cannot prove in the lab, by chemicals that the soul is present in a body. You can only understand it by the proof of Vedas, and also you can understand, by symptoms. When there is no life, means the soul has left. There's no other explanation why the person is not moving, why there are no life symptoms. What is the cause? Everything is still there in the body. A living person has whatever a living person has. A dead person, right after he dies, all those things are still there in the body. What is missing in the body that the person is, you say he's dead, you'll say the heart stopped. Why the heart stopped? Why? What is missing there that the heart has to stop? So, you cannot prove it in a lab. Oh, this has a soul and this does not have a soul. By symptoms you can understand, but you cannot say this chemical is missing. Like that, you cannot say here soul is not there. You cannot prove it in a lab. Then how can we prove the presence of the soul? From Shruti, Shastra Pramana. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul, although it is a fact by perception. Yeah. So it is a fact by perception. We can prove it by explaining. By perception, you can understand, but you cannot prove it otherwise. There are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of superior authority. Prabhupada often gives the example of father. Who is your father? There's only one authority in the entire creation, your mother. Where your mother says he is your father, you have to accept. Can you test and prove that this person is only my father? You cannot do it. All you can do is you can say, this is not my father. You'll test the blood group and you'll see. You can say, this person cannot be my father because his blood group is that, my blood group is this. This cannot be. That cannot be, that cannot be. Can you prove? Narsimhalila Chaitanya Prabhu has, experience from pharmacy background. Can you prove that by testing that this person is my father? Can you actually prove like that, Prabhuji?
DNA matching is there, no? DNA matching is there.
You can say this person is not. You cannot say this is. How will you find out that this is the father?
No, if someone tastes for paternity, then they can say that, okay, DNA, this percentage of DNA is matching.
So that
If
is final.
someone specifically,
That is
that
final.
is the maximum they can come, like
Actually, but
95% they will say.
but they can give up 100% proof that this person is the father by that. They
If
can say
a
he
person
can be.
genuinely comes,
I think they can
yeah,
say this is a possibility. He can be the father. Because of this, he can be. And they say for certain this is only the father?
no,
No.
that mother only can say.
Ah,
Yes.
that's the thing. That mother can say, Pakka, she'll say, he is your father. Then, if I say, I don't accept my mother, I don't like my mother, I don't believe what she says, I will find in my own way who my father is. I'll do my DNA testing and this and that, and I'll find out. Is it a reliable way of knowing for certain? It's not. It's not. But another child, he says, I know my mother, I trust my mother, and mother says, my dear boy, this is your father. He accepts. Because my mother said he must. I have faith in my mother. Because my mother says this person must be my father. Whose position is better in actually finding out who the real father is? The person who accepts the mother is better. So the mother is Vedas, the father is Krishna. The Vedas tell us Krishna is your father. The person who accepts that Vedas is the mother, I have faith in the Vedas, and it's not a blind faith. We can actually establish, or you can go and read also Tattva Sandarbha. Very nicely, it is established how the Vedas are the ultimate authority. And even in the Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam is the ultimate Pramana. It is proven. Nobody can break that. It's established. So then I believe what is said in the Vedas. I will believe what is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then such person's knowledge is perfect. It's final. There's no flaw there. And someone says, no, why I have to accept someone's authority? I will do my research. Can this person be God? I have all these tests. This person cannot be. Maybe that person, maybe that person. Your answer won't be final. There will be so many flaws. So that is why accepting authority is the best way. And authority not blindly you're accepting. It's not, nobody's saying that you should accept blindly. There are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. There is no source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. We already saw that. The size is so small. You cannot experiment and prove. The soul is consciousness and conscious. That also is the statement of the Vedas, and we have to accept that. Unlike the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. As eternally unchangeable, so the bodily changes again. What we are reading in Bhagavatam, right? The body changes, material bodies change. So, but the way the body changes, the soul does not change. As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite supreme soul. We saw the example of the fire and the spark. Both are souls, but one is infinitely big, one is infinitely small. The supreme soul is infinite and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul. Yeah, it's unchangeable also. Or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways. Again and again it is being said here also. Gita Upanishad, this is also Vedas. So this concept that the soul is eternal and the body is changing, it is repeated in the Vedas in many different ways. Why? Just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul, to emphasize. The repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. Just one more point here is there are three types of sizes in creation. There is infinite, there is infinitesimal, and then there is madhyakara. Okay, so madhyakara means in the middle. One is unlimitedly big, the other one is unlimitedly small, like infinitesimal, so small that you cannot measure it. And the other one is so big that you cannot measure it. And everything else in between is called madhyakara. That which is infinite and that which is infinitesimal is spiritual. It is transcendental. Everything else in between that can be measured is material. This is the philosophy. That which you can measure is material. That which you cannot measure, there are two types of immeasurable things. One is infinitely big, the other one is infinitely small. The spirit soul is infinitesimal, infinitely small, and the Supreme Lord is infinitely big. So he is also completely transcendental. The spirit soul is also transcendental. Everything in between is, you can measure it, that is material. So then you may say, but when Krishna came, we know his height was 16 feet or 12 feet, whatever, with the Pandavas. So you can measure his height. Actually, he is infinite, but he comes according to the size. How you know he is infinite? Because in his small, that body which can be measured, he shows the entire universe in his mouth. Right? So he is actually infinite. But he can come in a size, but uh, that's also his, you know, who can do that? He can do it, and his pure devotees also can do that. You see Hanumanji, he tells Bhimsen, can I want to see the form in which you appeared in Treta Yuga. Bhimsen asks. So Hanumanji says, I want to see your original form. So Hanumanji says, actually I can become, there's no limit. I can become as big as I want. There's no limit. But I will show you a form that you can see. So he'll become big enough that Bhimsen is able to see. But actually there's no limit. It's not like, according to the need. When he had to lift the Gandhamadana mountain, as much as the, as big as he needed to become, he would become that big. And again, when he had to become small to go into the mouth of Surasa, he becomes that small. And then when he went to Lanka, he becomes the size of a cat. So according to the need, he can become any size. But actually, he can become unlimitedly big also. So spiritual means you cannot measure, immeasurable. Matter is the opposite. It's finite, limited. Okay, let's read Lilamrita and then we'll end today's session. Whenever there's discussion, it becomes a little long, but needed. This purport was big. It's okay. Okay, so now we are in the 22nd Avenue. So we were reading about the history of this Lower East Side, how different types of people had been coming in the history, right? Different immigrants had come. Now the latest is a new, just before Srila Prabhupada, right? A new type of newcomers had come. Who are they? At first, the newcomers were mostly young artists musicians, and intellectuals, similar to the hip crowd of Prabhupada's Bowery days. Then came the young middle class dropouts. Dropouts means those who drop out of school. Middle class dropouts, like the hippies, you would say. Middle class. That means they're not too wealthy, but they just drop out of school, like that. Middle class dropouts. Because living space was more available and rents were lower than in nearby Greenwich Village. They concentrated here on the Lower East Side, which in the parlance of the renting agents became known as the East Village. Many even came without finding a place to live and camped in the hallways of tenements, drawn by cheap rent and the promise of bohemian freedom. These young middle class dropouts, the what's that? Avant-garde of a nationwide youth movement. Avant-garde means what? Okay. Avant-garde of a nationwide youth movement, soon to be known in the media as hippies, wandered to the Lower East Side slums in living protest against America's good life of materialism. So basically, the latest immigrants are the hippies. As if responding to an instinctual call, younger teenage runaways joined the older hippies, and following the runaways came the police, counsel, counselors, social and welfare workers. What are you seeing here? Srila Prabhupada is getting so much audience now, isn't it? So first actually the hippies came, then the runaways, the middle class teenage runaways. Following them, police, counselors, social and welfare workers, youth hostels, and drug counseling centers. On St. Mark's Place, a new hip commercialism sprang up with head shops, poster shops, record shops, art galleries, and bookstores that carried everything from cigarette papers to hip clothes and psychedelic lighting. Hippies के कपड़े, the clothes worn by hippies maybe, the modern, fashionable. The hippies journeyed to the Lower East Side in full conviction that this was the place to be, just as their immigrant predecessors had done. For the European immigrants of another age, New York Harbor had been the gateway to a land of riches and opportunity as they at long last set their eyes on Manhattan's skyline and the Statue of Liberty. Now, in 1966, American youth thronged to New York City with hopes of their own and feasted on the vision of their newfound mystical land, the Lower East Side slums. The rest we will read tomorrow. Thank you all so much, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. All of you have a wonderful day in Krishna consciousness. I'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.